biggest anti-heroes of Hollywood's blockbusters today have got one single person to thank for their success: the freaking Wolverine. Yeah, say what you want about the pre-2000s classics, but we all know that it was Hugh Jackman and his ultra-masculine appeal that got everyone in the cinemas drooling for powerful characters that wouldn't hesitate to spill blood, like lots of it. And of course, with an anti-hero like Logan, we're always treated to an exquisite display of superpowers that keeps bringing us back to YouTube videos talking about them. Today, I'm counting down my top 10 Wolverine power demonstrations in the movies. Strap in for a wild ride ahead.
What the hell?
You know how they always say the past catches up to you? Logan actually experienced that in a very literal sense. After time traveling to his pre-Adamantium days in order to stop mutant extinction, Wolverine wakes up in bed next to one of his lady friends, who also turns out to be the daughter of a crime lord. Now, before I talk about the way he takes on the assassin sent after him, I just got to give a massive shout out to Hugh Jackman's physique. I mean, holy shit! Just look at how ripped he is. There's a brief confrontation after which the assassins shoot at him, but obviously they haven't seen the X-Men movies, have they? So they're in for a world of pain when Logan brings out his natural claws and goes to town on them. The editing and sequencing of the fight is pretty well done, but I guess Logan would have preferred it if he transferred to this body when it was doing whatever was happening before he woke up, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I slept with him many times, but
Timmy!
that wasn't me. That was the old me.
I've always wanted to watch Logan's claws face off against samurai swords, and the Wolverine gave me a hell of a lot of fan service in this scene. Shingen Yashida is a grade A dick, and he tries to further cement that notion when he tries to kill the Wolverine when he's recovering from his little self-surgery. Man, I'm pretty sure he would have gotten along well with Stryker. Luckily for our hunky hero, Mariko drops by to keep Shingen occupied long enough for Logan to spring back into action and give us an awesome battle. This fight was expertly choreographed and styled, especially against the backdrop of a dark bluish night. Logan does take a few blows, but we all know that that doesn't really matter. However, the best moment of the scene is when Shingen lands his sword into the Wolverine's heart, and even then, the dude just kills his foe and casually pulls out the sword from his chest as if it was just a Nerf dart. I guess you could say he really did become heartless after losing Jean Grey.
What kind of monster are you? The Wolverine.
Okay, first of all, James Howler is a horrible name for a dude like the Wolverine. Thank God his mom cheated on her husband with Thomas Logan. Anyway, the scene in question is when little Logan finds his legal dad murdered by his biological dad. That kind of trauma ain't good for an aspiring mutant, and we get to see Logan discover his powers for the very first time as he springs out those claws and kills his own father. I mean, yeah, he didn't know it was his dad till he was dead and gone, but it's still super tragic. No wonder the man has so many unresolved anger issues. But on a serious note though, the scene establishes Logan's character arc right from his childhood days, and also gives us a glimpse of the rage that would go on to dominate his life choices right till he meets Professor X.
He wasn't your father, son.
Okay, I know they had a brief encounter before this scene, but that battle was interrupted by Gambit, so I'm not counting it as an official rematch. Sabretooth's choking Kayla to death, and for some lazy reason, her mind control powers just don't seem to work on him. Luckily for her though, Logan magically arrives to the location almost instantly. That kicks off a proper second round between the half-brothers, and this time, Logan totally owns Victor's ass. The scene shows us exactly how much of an upgrade the Wolverine has gotten with his new adamantium skeleton, and even though the battle's short, it still totally rocks. Eventually, Kayla convinces him not to kill Victor, and that turns out to be a wise move considering his later battle with you know who. If you love playing FPS games as much as I do, then you'll know that the best way to take out your opponent is through a headshot. The cop who shot Wolverine in the freaking head must have thought the same thing, but that just turned out to be a huge waste. It was bad enough that this headshot triggered Pyro to show off some of his own powers, but the whole thing could have easily been avoided because Logan just casually pushes out the bullet from his head as if he's popping a pimple or something like that. This was the first time we got to see his healing powers work on something a lot more dangerous than just a couple of stab wounds, and it was an awesome moment for fans of the comics as well as the cartoons. Also, I loved how he just casually got up and walked away like it was no big deal. Well, if anyone could pull that off, it's the Wolverine. I've showered enough praises on Professor X, and for good reason too. That Baldy is a total unit when it comes to psychic powers. We didn't really see Charles Xavier using his telekinetic skills to wreak havoc, well, apart from that extinction level effort in X2, but Logan gave us a much better depiction of what he's capable of when his seizures would trigger psychic waves of destruction. Logan handled it pretty easy the first time because he was physically closer to the Professor then, but the scene in the hotel room is what really takes the cake for me. That seizure was so powerful that it actually froze everyone within the vicinity, and only Logan could walk all the way to the room to stop the madness. Plus, he killed all those assassins for good measure too, and this was when his regenerative powers weren't even at half capacity. This dude is just something else. Intros are well appreciated, especially if they're executed properly, and the one that introduces the Wolverine in the first X-Men movie is a great example of that. It starts off with Logan getting presumably thrashed by this big wrestler guy, but as we soon find out after, he was just holding himself back to avoid killing his opponent. We don't have to wait for long though, as the wrestler gets a taste of his adamantium skeleton soon enough, and all it takes is a couple of whacks from the Wolverine to knock the guy out in a matter of seconds and show the crowd that they put their money on the wrong guy. Yeah, Rogue's expression kind of sums it up for all of us who were watching this in the theaters almost 22 years ago. Jeez, my back hurts just thinking about that.
Whatever you do, don't hit him in the balls.
You said anything goes.
Anything goes, but he'll take it personal.
Let's do this.
Listen, I know I've bashed this movie a lot in my previous videos, but it's a Wolverine movie, so we were bound to see some crazy power demonstrations in it. The most iconic scene, I'd say, is his transformation from his regular mutant skeleton to an adamantium one. Come on, admit it, we all wanted to see this on the big screen and it didn't disappoint. I absolutely loved the whole process, and it genuinely felt gruesome to watch as we see poor Logan having to go through inexplicable pain to complete the integration of the indestructible metal into his body. As a bonus, we also get to see the effects of this transformation when his new adamantium skull deflects a bullet aimed at his head. This kind of raises questions about the headshot scene in X2, but I'm going to let that pass because this scene is just too freaking good. It's kind of hard to come up with something more powerful than surviving a goddamn atomic bomb. That's right, our very own Wolverine was a prisoner of war and protected the young Yashida from the nuclear devastation caused by the Nagasaki tragedy. While that move might have eventually backfired decades later, we still can't deny the fact that Logan can easily stand up to any form of weaponry. I mean, if he can brush off a nuclear bomb and still look that good, then I really don't know what else there is for him to prove. I'm sure a lot of heroes would kill for healing powers like that, excluding Deadpool of course. The effects and makeup are on point, and I gotta say that this is probably one of my favourite opening scenes in the entire X-Men franchise. Surviving an atomic bomb is cool and all, but there was absolutely no way I wasn't going to include this as the top entry. The Wolverine's healing powers had never really been pushed to their limits until this encounter blew our freaking minds. Come on, it's the bloody Phoenix! That bitch just disintegrated dozens of humans and mutant soldiers like she's minting an NFT or something. Personally, I'd just get the hell out of there as fast as I could, but Logan simply walks up to that psychotic redhead and takes her energy waves like a total boss. I can't even imagine how painful that must have been, because you can literally see his freaking skeleton. The dude keeps regenerating his body as he walks past the chaos and eventually ends Jean's life once and for all. I mean, how fast can this mother lover heal? Yeah, the scene does have a lot of emotional depth to it, but I'm sure most of us remember it as the most efficient example of how much damage Logan can take. But then again, I don't think those powers were much use when the poor guy had to deal with the guilt of killing the woman he loved. And there you go. Those are my top 10 Wolverine Power Demonstrations. What do you think? Should I cover more Logan content? Let me know in the comments or on my socials. Don't forget to check out my new Discord server too. The link's in the description below. Like, share and subscribe to keep up with all my latest videos too. Of course, you can also check out my Patreon link in the description if you're interested in a customized video. Alright then, I'll catch you in the next one.